So when one of my friends says something that infuriates me, it gives me a bad feeling. Here's the audio clip, cut number 5, Fox News Sundays, Chris Wallace. The Iowa caucuses are right around the corner. And, of course, if you believe the polls, Ron Paul, Congressman Ron Paul, the kind of irascible, feisty, Constitution-loving, little frumpy, beloved guy from Texas, is doing remarkably well in the polls. That led Chris Wallace to react thusly.
If Ron Paul wins here, what then?
Well, the Ron Paul people are not going to like my saying this, but to a certain degree it will discredit the Iowa caucuses because, rightly or wrongly, I think most of the Republican establishment thinks he's not going to end up as the nominee, so therefore Iowa won't count and it will go on. It would certainly be a knock to Gingrich because, you know, right now he was the front runner, or a week ago he was the big front runner in this state, so it would be a missed opportunity for him.
So Chris told Neil Cavuto if Ron Paul were to win the Iowa caucus, it will discredit the Iowa caucuses. In other words, they would be such a joke, I guess. The Iowa caucuses would be such a laugh to vote for Ron Paul that the whole process in the state of Iowa would be discredited. Now, let me tell you why I'm angry. I'm angry because there is a word that keeps popping up throughout this entire presidential campaign. And the word that I focus on is elitism. There is an elitism. There are political elites and there are media elites. There are elitists who think there's no room for a guy like Ron Paul in the process. I mean, come on. After all, he doesn't have good hair. His suits don't always fit right. He doesn't fit the presidential mold. He doesn't have billions of dollars to spend on slick campaign ads. I mean, who the heck does he think he is? Connecting with people, igniting people, inspiring people. Who does he think he is out there campaigning for president? We're not going to give him any time in the debates. We're not really going to talk to him. We're not going to acknowledge him because we think he's a joke, because we are the elites. And the elites do not connect to the people. And I realize the reason I'm so mad at what Chris Wallace said about Ron Paul and the Iowa caucus is because this is what I've been saying all along about refusing to criticize any of the Republican nominees for president. And you know what? I am, pardon my language, damn proud that I have not wavered. I am very confident that I've done the right thing in not tearing down any of the men or the woman who might challenge President Barack Obama next year. Because you know what? I'm not an elitist. I'm not an inside the beltway guy. I'm not in bed with any of these folks. I'm not getting talking points for any of the campaigns. I'm an American citizen who is distressed at the direction of our country and who is mortified at the way the left has hijacked common sense America. And I admire Ron Paul terrifically. I honor his service as a congressman, and I respect the millions of people who support him. Now, I'm not any better than anybody else. I'm not saying I'm a better person than Chris Wallace. I'm just pointing out that it is the height of extraordinary arrogance and elitism to denounce the people of Iowa. If the people of Iowa choose to elect Ron Paul in the caucus or vote for him, guess what? Then the people have spoken. And I respect the will of the voter. That's why I have not gotten into this spitting contest and taken sides with Mitt Romney or Newt Gingrich. I'm angry at Mitt Romney demeaning Newt Gingrich a little bit, not because I want to tear down Mitt Romney, but because I don't want any of these guys to do this to each other. You know who the political enemy is? It's Barack Obama. And how dare a media type denounce the process in Iowa by calling it discredited if they happen to elect Ron Paul. Let me tell you something. Chris Wallace's comments might just have gotten Ron Paul elected in the state of Iowa, because the people of Iowa might be saying, you know what, don't tell us who to vote for. Don't tell us we're not worthy of having the process play out. The elitist attitude sickens me. I like Chris. He's a friend. I'm very, very disappointed, and yeah, I'm a little bit angry at what he had to say about Ron Paul and the Iowa caucus. We'll see what you think. Our toll-free number is 800-655 Christmas songs of all time. All right, 23 past the hour. Let's go right to your phone calls. Chris Wallace has proclaimed that if Iowa voters select Ron Paul, that will discredit the Iowa caucuses, because after all, he really can't be the presidential nominee. I believe that my friend Chris is guilty of the kind of media arrogance and elitism and talking down to the American people that frustrates us, all of us, enormously. Let's see if you agree or not. We'll start with Debbie. Hey, Debbie, you're first up on the Mike Gallagher Show. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Debbie.
I absolutely disagree with you. I think that what Mike Wallace was saying was that he believes that it discredits it because it doesn't have the global impact that it should have on the rest of the election process. Ron Paul has some very left or just ideas that are on the fringe of our party, and I just think that he was stating that fact.
Well, I think it's such a, I don't know if you realize, Debbie, how awful it is to condemn people who support a congressman from Texas as the fringe, and to dismiss these people. Debbie, everywhere I go, there is such enthusiastic support for him. I don't agree with him on a lot of his positions or his ideology, particularly when it comes to Israel and some other key areas. But you know what? I don't agree with all of them on anything, but to just dismiss the voter as not being relevant, as saying that's a terrible thing to say, Debbie.
Well, I don't think he's saying that the voter is irrelevant. I think what he's saying is this gentleman, Ron Paul, has some very fringe ideas. He also, his position on Israel is one position, but also his conspiracy. He won't divorce the conspiracy theorists on 9/11 and other issues.
I know.
Which really puts him on the outside of where we want to be as a party and who we want to elect as president.
I understand you.
Obama.
I understand you don't agree with him, Debbie. My point is, you can't tell voters in Iowa who they should elect.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
Well, no, I think you are. I think you both are. I think you're saying, listen, here are the reasons we don't like this guy. He's on the fringe on this, or this. To many people, that's not fringe, and that's their prerogative. All I'm saying is, you got to let the voters decide without talking down to them and saying you're going to discredit the whole process if you're stupid enough to vote for Ron Paul.
Oh no, Mike, I don't think he's saying that at all, and I don't think that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think what we are saying is that this is a fringe candidate.
Okay,
and
let's see what.
As a party, we need to remember who we're voting for and who we're putting up against Barack Obama.
I appreciate your argument.
I think that's all he's saying.
I appreciate your argument. We're going to have to agree to disagree, Debbie. Thank you very much, though. I appreciate your input. Very reasonable call, I guess. I'm not comfortable telling thousands and millions of people, how many of it is, you're a bunch of fringe nuts. I'm sorry. I'm not comfortable telling people, well, you're a fringe, you're liking a fringe candidate, so if you vote for him, you discredit the process. I am very uncomfortable with that level of condemnation for my fellow American voters. This is the problem. This is what's been in my soul the whole time about not chipping away or attacking one candidate over the other. This is what has bothered me immensely, and I'm not going to do it. I have my views, and I'll share my views, but I'm not going to tell you you're an idiot if you like Michelle Bachmann. Is she a fringe candidate? Many people will argue she is. It just frustrates me enormously to hear that kind of arrogance displayed. 1-800-655-MIKE. Here is David. Hey, David, you're next on the Mike Gallagher Show. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
So, I agree with you, but he's not the only one doing it. There's no leaders in the media. They follow what the other ones are saying, and they're all saying that same thing that he said. Making those types of comments. Most of the media have not done the due diligence on what's wrong.
Well, it's probably why they gave him about a blink of an eye to speak at some of the debates. They don't even give him any acknowledgement whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm primarily a Republican, but this year I'm so tired of the corruption and the same old story from the rest of the politicians that I'm going Ron Paul. There's a couple of things I was worried about.
And I'm not about to talk down to you because you choose to vote for this guy. And sorry, with all due respect to Debbie, you don't sound like a fringe kook job to me. 800-655-Mike, and let's talk to some Ron Paul supporters. How does it feel to be called the fringe? 800-655-Mike.